Broadly speaking, there are two kinds of happiness. One kind of happiness is the kind into which we're all trained. That kind of happiness involves chasing people, acquiring things, and arranging circumstances to our liking. Some of us get really good at this. This is a problem. This is what leads to what is often called the midlife crisis. In the typical midlife crisis, someone one day looks around themselves and says, I've got everything I ever wanted, and still I'm not happy. How can this be the case? How can it be the case that there are miserable millionaires in the Hollywood Hills and happy homeless children in the slums of Mumbai? Well, this is where that second kind of happiness comes into the picture. The second kind of happiness is not dependent upon people, things, or circumstances. And from this point on, we'll call people, things, and circumstances phenomena. The reason that happiness number one cannot be depended upon is because it is in the nature of phenomena to change. So that no matter how well you get all your little ducks lined up in a row, eventually that line will be broken, or one of your little ducks will die. Indeed, eventually you will die. And what then? What is all that phenomena worth in that moment of death? Consider, on the other hand, that at that moment of death, you have spent a lifetime training happiness number two. You have spent a lifetime practicing to appreciate the happiness that remains in the absence of phenomena coming and going. Now you have something that you can depend upon. And it's not only in that moment of death that you can depend upon this. It's in all moments. Because it doesn't depend upon anything. You may have accessed this second kind of happiness by accident. Perhaps out walking in nature, observing some beautiful scenery. It's common that the mind slows down in a moment like this. And when the mind slows down, there's less of that tendency to reach for things we want or to push away things that we don't. So, we're less dependent in that moment. Perhaps we're not dependent at all upon phenomena. Now you might say, well, we needed that beautiful nature scene in order to experience that condition. Well, good news. Nature is easy to find. Better news. We can train ourselves to access this second kind of happiness without even the need for that nature scene. How? Mindfulness practice. You may have heard something about mindfulness practice. Perhaps you're an experienced practitioner yourself, just here for a reminder. But let's check it out together. Let's take a moment to enjoy the sensations of the breath. When we enjoy those sensations, we're present. The breath is something that's happening right now. And indeed, right now, there can be none of that clinging or pushing away. There's nothing to cling to or push away. You may have various thoughts or feelings regarding those sensations of the breath, but these are much less sticky than thoughts or feelings about the future or the past, which is where all of those phenomena reside. So we enjoy the sensations of the breath. Let's do it again. Now, when we catch the mind wandering, we are to celebrate, because this is successful mindfulness practice, and this is our secret weapon. This is the vital ingredient that most mindfulness instructions erroneously leave out. We Westerners are very good at berating ourselves. We're trained to berate ourselves. First of all, we're trained to set goals. Goals like, I must keep my attention on my breath. I must not have thoughts. And if my attention does leave my breath, if I do have thoughts, I'm a bad boy. This kind of thinking only makes our mindfulness practice unpleasant. We're likely to be dissatisfied with that practice, and hence the cure becomes the disease. No, we need to flip that script. And we flip it by taking up as a practice this celebration, this acknowledgement of successful practice. And if you find it difficult to congratulate yourself, which many of us do, remember that it's objectively the case that noticing what the mind is doing is successful mindfulness practice. Noticing what the mind is doing, becoming aware of what's going on right now, is successful mindfulness practice. Worthy of praise, wholesome, beneficial. Let's go again. And again. And again, enjoying the sensations of the breath. Did the mind wander? Did you acknowledge success when you noticed that the mind wandered? This is our secret weapon. This is how we flip that old script of telling ourselves off into one of celebration, one of positive reinforcement. And this is how we make our practice pleasant, enjoyable. When we enjoy something, we want to do it. When we want to do something, we do it a lot. When we do something a lot, we develop skill in it. And this is a skill, just like any other. So be like the musician, who first of all requires distraction-free time to work on those beginning skills. Take your time. If you found this very short practice difficult, if either you found it difficult to be present with the breath, or you found it difficult to acknowledge that success when you noticed what the mind was doing, that's okay. Come back to this video for reminders. Practice some more. If, on the other hand, you experienced even a shade of that second kind of happiness, the happiness that is not dependent upon phenomena, then you just won a major victory. And I strongly recommend giving yourself that experience again. What tremendous freedom to be happy regardless of circumstances. I am Dan Goldfield. I am a lineaged mindfulness teacher. What that means is that my teacher, who was a Buddhist monk for many years, instructed me to teach, and that his teacher instructed him to teach, and his teacher instructed him to teach, and this goes all the way back to the historical Buddha. I am on a mission to introduce 1 million people to this practice of mindfulness. And so, if you found this beneficial, please share it with someone else who you think it may benefit. Bring them here into this community, where you and they can make many wonderful friends, all of whom are interested in this happiness number 2, in investigating the mind and in becoming free. I'll see you very soon.